Let's just see.
The broadcast is live.
The broadcast is live. Let me be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas. If you don't know who I am, and you probably don't, my name is Adam Price. I've been working with Jimmy for a couple years now. 2 years?
Yeah, at least 3 years. 4 years. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And it's great to have you with us. We put this together. Well, first off, can everybody hear? If you give us a, can you hear myself in the audio? And Jimmy, if you can just
check 1 2.
There we go. If you can just
thank you everybody for jumping
in the below to let us know if the audio is good to go. We have people jumping on here from all over the world. Just flying through the comments. We're getting a good turnout right here, which is fantastic. Hey, Swedish Nuts, man. Swedish Nuts says Jimmy's the man.
Thank you, Swedish Nuts.
Yeah. So I just want to quickly give some goalposts about what we're going to be talking about today, and then Jimmy's obviously going to lead the show here. If you have a comment, so this was brought together from the Directa razor box. If you've purchased that, by all means, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And it means a lot to Jimmy, I know, because he's put a lot of effort and energy into putting those together. And it takes a long time to get it done, but at the same time, we need support to make it happen. So we just want to thank you for your purchase.
100%.
With that, yeah, it's been awesome. The emails we've gotten is fantastic. So we just thank you for that. And so that brought this live together, that opportunity just to throw that into that bundle. So if you purchase from us and you're here now, especially huge thank you for that. If you're watching on YouTube and you stumbled across this, also we opened it up to get a few more people on here as well. So we just want to thank you for taking the time. I kind of have a few questions for Jimmy. If you have questions in the audience, just post down below. Hey, somebody said hi to me. Well, that's fantastic.
I just want to say, if everybody's watching, Adam is one of my behind the scenes guys. There's a few of them. There's Howard, there's Scott, there's Adam and his team. And these guys afford me the ability to just look like I just lazy around, roll out of bed and go to the shop, because these guys do all the hard work that I'm not good at. So thank you, Adam, and everybody knows.
No problem, man. No problem at all. It's a pleasure. It's been fun for sure, which is the best part about it. So I have a couple questions for you. And if you have a question and you're watching on YouTube, just put it in the comment below. And if it's relevant and appropriate, of course, we will fire it over to Jimmy. I'll put it up on the screen here and Jimmy can ask it. Basically, we're going to be talking about the YouTube community, YouTube content creation. YouTube is a business, and that work-life balance that hey, somebody got their Directa box earlier than expected. Well, that's fantastic.
Great. Obviously, we had shipping. We had supply chain issues. The razor blades have been on order quite literally since the beginning of the fall or the end of the summer, and they were ready. They were ready at that point, but it took us all these months to get them shipped finally to our doorstep. And that's why we knew we were in striking range when we offered this up for sale. But we were just kind of hedging our bet that they might be late. And they were a little late, but not as late as the shipper expected them to be. So that's why some of you get them as earlier than we expected.
And before we just get into it, there's a great question that somebody just asked, an awesome question. I'll put it up in a second. But before we do that, if you didn't get a razor box and you're interested in a Directa blade, like Jimmy said, they just came in. I believe there's a link in the description below. The razor box has closed. That was a package deal. But if you're interested in just picking up a Directa razor, I got mine, and very, very, very high quality. I know you put a lot of effort into that, Jimmy. You can click the link, I believe, in the description on YouTube here and go ahead and snag one right now if you want to. Otherwise, let's just get right into it here. I just got some thumbnails I'm going to be throwing through here as people start to engage on here. One question that just came up was, do you have any skills that currently are not fully utilized on your YouTube channel?
I used to teach. I taught for 23 years, and a lot of people, when I would teach, being around a lot of stand-up comedians, a lot of comedians would often, a lot of my brother's comedian friends would say that I was funny, and my students would always respond and say that I was funny. So I like to think in my heart of hearts, I'm a little bit, like a very tiny little bit of me is a stand-up comedian, just because I kind of spend so much time with stand-up comedians. But that a little bit of that comes to the live chats. And, when I'm live on stage, I try to be as funny as I possibly can be, because I know humor really moves the conversation along and keeps people engaged. So I know humor is a big part of keeping people engaged in live streams and conversations. And, I'm not going to make an ass of myself, but I like to keep things light and fun.
Favorite comedian that you can think of off the top of your head?
Lately, Sam Morrell. If you guys know Sam Morrell, he's a new guy. He's a young comedian, very funny, very, very funny guy. I've been watching a lot of his YouTube. Mark Norman is another really funny young comedian. I mean, I saw Mark 15 years ago in New York, and
Okay.
he's probably, I don't know, he's probably in his late 30s, early 40s. Very funny, very talented. Opens up for Seinfeld, and all the classics. Obviously, Dave Chappelle, and all these other guys that we all grew up with. Dave Attell, Todd Barry. These guys I know all. I met them all several times in and around New York City, just hanging around all the comedy clubs in my neighborhood.
Oh,
So
cool, man.
I have a big love for comedy.
First question coming in from John Paul Harkin. We have, it's a big one, and we will show it up here. It says, what woodworking tools would you prioritize in a 10 by 10 foot shed? I have a portable DeWalt table saw and drill press. Should I buy a planer of or an electric hand plane? I'm assuming that's.
I would buy like a lunchbox planer. Is that what they call them? Like a small surface planer. And I would replace that portable table saw with a cabinet saw. Life begins at having a cast iron or a heavy duty table saw. Using those small 10-inch contractor saws, not only are they easy to push over when you're trying to throw a sheet of plywood through them, they can be dangerous, because they topple, and the extraction, the dust extraction, and the safety features aren't very good. I mean, I would urge anybody to get themselves. The centerpiece of any good workshop is a nice cast iron based table saw, and I push saw stop just for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But if you can get your hands on a Delta Unisaw, those are always very good.
Yeah, people at SawStop too. I've talked to them a couple of times. They're fantastic. Really good.
SawStop's a great product. It's funny because SawStop had to enter the game reluctantly because they couldn't license the product. Everybody didn't want to license their patent. So they entered the game reluctantly, but they came in with a really interesting premise, knowing they have to be far and above, stronger, better than what was out there. So, it's a good point to remember that, when you introduce a product, it starts to become obsolete, because then everybody gets to look at it and go, how can I make it better? And SawStop is a great example of looking what was on the market and how could they make it better.
Cool. Andy, we have a good question here from Andy. It says this: as a maker, I regularly find myself without a specific genre, and I find it hard to market myself. How do you recommend breaking into a local market or YouTube and sharing my skills as a maker? That's a good question.
I think the best thing is, everybody is unique. And I think everybody has something interesting to say, interesting to add to the mix. I've never met anybody at a show that I didn't think had some interesting thing to say. And the best thing about being at this for 10 years is I've met so many makers that were exactly in your position, now getting millions of views a month, much more and far than me. So I think everybody has an opportunity here in this world, and everybody says, oh, is it too flooded with too many? No. Stuff made here came out of nowhere. He's hitting it with millions of views every month. I think there's an opportunity for anybody who has something to say. And if you have the urge to want to say something, I think you could find it. Just do what really comes to you naturally. If you love what you're doing, it's going to come through. If you're making fishing lures and you make it interesting, I think you will find an audience outside the fishing audience. If you're making, if you're stone stacking and you're doing it fun and interesting, people will watch you even if they're not interested in stone stacking. So I don't think it's a matter of pleasing the specific audience that you're trying to go for. I think it's just a matter of being entertaining, interesting, and fun.
Cool. Totally. And it's about being authentic, as you mentioned. Why do you think your content is so particularly successful?
Well, a lot of people like the fact that I think people like the fact that I was in the beginning, I was a bit mysterious because I didn't show myself and I didn't talk as much. And I think, I think people like the fact that I don't fluff it up too much. I don't fluff it up. In fact, I don't fluff it up at all. I should fluff it up a little more. Occasionally now, 10 years in, I get some people saying, how come your, production values haven't increased the way so many others have? And that's just because I still work by myself. I still edit everything by myself. I shoot by myself with a tripod in many cases. I'm kind of set in my ways. I'm a little bit of an old cranky man. I'm like the guys in the Muppet, the guy up in the
Oh
balcony. I'm
yeah, the
like one of
balcony
those two
guys. Yeah,
guys.
yeah,
But so I think people enjoy the authenticity of me just being myself, alone for the most
yeah.
part.
And and that comes into a question we got via email was the work-life balance. Because I mean, I've texted this guy literally. I'm on the West Coast, you're on the East Coast. I'll text you at 11 o'clock, and you'll screenshot you're working in the shop. My time, which is like 1 o'clock your time, and
Right.
I'm just like, you're a freaking beast, man. And then we'll be releasing a video, and then I'll be getting up at like 6 o'clock to release the video, and you're kind of already up, at it already,
Yeah.
back at it. So, I know that, what we're able to do behind the scenes helps financially to kind of alleviate that pressure and the expense of making videos. But how do you find that work-life balance?
It's difficult. Honestly, I mean, I think the best thing about my life is that I picked a girlfriend and a spouse. We've been together for going on 12 years, who makes
Yeah.
things herself. So if
Yeah.
I'm up editing sometimes, she's in her studio till 4 in the morning. We don't, if I'm editing and she's in her studio, it's not in the same exact location. So, she'll send me a screen grab of something that she found interesting, or she'll send me a house listing because we're always looking for real estate. She'll send me something at 3 in the morning and I will have just gone to bed, so
Hmm.
the two of us are always up doing stuff. So that really helps. If I had a wife that had a child and she was busy with the child and I was busy like hiding in the workshop, I think
Yeah.
things would be a little bit more difficult for me.
Yeah.
But we took a solid 2 week vacation in September to just drive around, and everybody thought I was on a maker tour. I was in
Yeah.
various cities oh, are you doing a collab with this one or that one? Because they saw what cities I was in. I was like, nope, this is just me and Taylor just having fun and
Hitting the road.
exploring and hitting the road. So,
Awesome.
it's it, we're building towards the future. There's going to be a moment where I don't do a video every week. There'll be a time, in the future where I do a video once a month, and
Yeah.
but
So,
we're both investing in the future right now.
so what does a typical day look like for you?
I get up at about 8, and I go and get a jug of coffee from across the street at the milk run, and I just jump right into whatever project I'm at. I usually don't eat till about 4 o'clock,
Yeah.
and whatever I shot that day, whatever video I worked on, I'll usually come in at about 11, 12 o'clock at night, and I'll download any footage I shot that day. That's one thing Taylor knows. Like if we're doing anything, let's say if we're going to have an early dinner, the first thing I got to do before anything is download the footage and put it in the right category. Because the worst thing is to have like footage lost on cameras. And I
Hmm.
use several different types of cameras. So every time I'm done shooting at the end of every day, the routine is to download the footage, usually drop it in a timeline if I'm building a timeline, so that when that Friday comes around, I'm ready to just drop in a few pieces to be done. And then I go through the video several times and just do fine cut, fine cut, fine cut. And I watch it with the sound off. I sit back with a coffee and I literally keep my finger on the stop button. And when something seems like it's lagging, I just hit stop, like where I feel the edit should be. I go in and I cut off whatever's left of that little segment and go right, or I'll shrink it to where that feel that should be. And, so that's how I do the fine cuts. And so, yeah, every night download and edit a
Well,
little bit.
I would say this: your schedule has kept me up later on Friday nights. I'll tell you that right now, without a question. I'm like, hey, am I going to get a thumbnail? Yeah, yeah. It's like midnight. I'm like, how the heck is this guy still awake?
Well, it's usually like, it's funny because you talk about a work-life balance. Taylor usually doesn't realize that she still hasn't gotten the memo that every Friday night I'm finishing a video to upload for Saturday morning. It used to be every Saturday night. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why she's confused, because every Saturday night we were doing that routine where every Saturday night it's like midnight. I'm almost ready. I'm going to send you the thumbnail. And then it moved to Friday nights because now we upload every Saturday morning. So.
Well, there you go. We have another question here. What are good, easy? This is from Parker Jensen. What are good,
Yep.
easy to work with materials for new makers, materials that are more forgiving than others?
Well, a lot of people don't realize how forgiving leather is. You could really make a lot of mistakes with leather and you could stretch it back to fit whatever mistake you think you might have made. And, when you end up with a lot of extra leather, when you buy a hide, you could buy a hide from eBay. You could buy a hide from, you could buy some used material. You can go into a shoemaker and ask him what he might have laying around. So I like leather and of course plywood and, poplar from Home Depot. I always buy poplar from Home Depot. Is a really good, air quotes hardwood to play with and experiment with. And also, you can buy.
Oh, I think you froze there, man. Are you back at it? Let's see here. Let me remove you. Put you back on stream.
I don't know what's going on. Oh,
we're
good?
You're good. Yeah, you're back.
We had a hiccup. Yeah, no. So I think red oak is good. Obviously plywood, MDF, all the materials you can get. And when I first started, it was whatever I could find in the street. So I was ripping apart, packing crates and stuff like that, and using old tabletops. Occasionally, I'd find a dresser, and I'd rip it apart for whatever good wood is in the face of a dresser set or something.
Cool. From Griffin Brown, we have this. Any advice from anybody who wants to get into running a design shop, being a professional maker, or whatever you would call what you do? How do you ever go about starting that? I know you used to get a lot of contracts for signage.
Yeah, I still do. I would just build a portfolio, and I've said this 100 times. I'll say it again here. Start building a portfolio for what you want to attract. Do what you want to do. Do what attracts you, for no clients, just for yourself. But build that Instagram page and start showing that off. Just build an Instagram page for the things you want to attract. If you want to build farmhouse tables, build farmhouse tables and farmhouse style furniture. If you want to do high-end, slick, modern stuff, like what Ben Ueda is doing, then build an Instagram for stuff like that. And you can start showing that off. I know Taylor gets a lot of press by just emailing people her Instagram page and saying, hey, I'm a maker and I do these type of things. These are the type of things I'd like to attract. This is the type of articles I'd like to attract. And you really got to do the hard work. You really got to just put it out there and make friends with the people that you're attracted to as far as the work and the look goes. And you really don't ever be discouraged. Send off emails and share your posts with as many people, like I said, that you feel are like-minded.
Yeah.
And just keep doing it. And don't stop and obsess over a reply. Just because, you're going to put out 10 things, you'll get one reply, and that'll be the one that matters.
And that's, a part of being so public as you are. What do you do with the nasty comments? Like the people that are just trolls and just like, come on, man. Like, it's like mentally, what do you do? I know sometimes you like to pin them to the top and let the dogs have at it.
Yeah.
Which is,
honestly, I personally I feel like I've gotten past, taking an emotional charge from a tough comment. The people have always said the comments that hurt the most are the ones that are the truest, because you yourself know that you didn't put your best foot forward. But when people comment and say, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that, I know all the things I should have done and I shouldn't have done. But the reality is there's only a certain amount of time in that week to get that project up and delivered. Like, for instance, when I did the exterior of the trailer, when the exterior of the trailer wasn't done, there was still 2 windows missing. There was about 600 pop rivets that weren't put in place. I didn't weather strip anything, but the video, for all intents and purposes, was done for camera. So I put it up, and, but that didn't bother me. But that's an example where I had a time limit and I couldn't do everything I needed to do. So when people comment about the things that, hurt the most, or the ones that are true, I'll say, yep, that's right. That's right. He's right. I know that's right. I was right. Yeah. But I don't take it as a personal offense, because he's right. The person's right. They're just calling out the obvious. And the people that call out obvious negative things, or negative things in general, are people that have a problem about something on their own, so they're sour. I can't take anything they say as credo or anything I shouldn't just disregard, because they're the ones that are having a problem. Genuine people build people up. Good people build people up. People really give you nice, heartfelt comments. When I watch something from this old Tony, I just want to reach out and hug him and say, what a beautiful, entertaining video you made. You've inspired me. People who get inspired write nice comments, and there's always so many more of those than the negative guy that wants to point out the obvious. And so I always feel bad for those people. And sometimes I'll joke with them. I'll say something like, Mom, I told you to stop commenting, please, Mom. And, it's just a laugh. It's funny to play with them.
Yeah. Great question here from Tomster. He says, what is your method of madness to determine your next project?
It's funny because it's really just bubbles to the top. I'm looking here. I'm like, it just bubbles to the top. Like this is my mouse pad, and I just flip it over. Like for instance, on this mouse pad, it says porch, safe door, which I did. Backhoe part 2. Still haven't done a video about the hearse I bought. Carolina pottery, finished the porch video. And it's funny, I wrote safe door here and I wrote it here at the bottom of the list in different pen. So I wrote safe door twice, but they really just bubble to the top. Carolina tailgate video, do a video about a power hammer. So giant machinist box is another one I want to do.
Yep.
So the videos are just written around on notes and stuff. I just finally, for the second time in my life, started a wall of magnets with Post-it notes on it, and I'll go through them. And then at the end of the wall is a Post-it note with a magnet where all the Post-it notes go. So I could look back and look at all the videos I've delivered.
Cool. Andrew Stanfield, this is a great question. At this point,
what's up, buddy?
You get more motivation from the content or the project itself?
It's funny. Obviously, I think the answer to that is I get charged up from both, and sometimes it's one, sometimes it's more of the other. The actual project here for the interior of the trailer, I'm so excited that it's coming to a close and that I'm happy with the results. And the client has seen pictures and they're really excited. So that really charges me up that that's done. Something like the catapult, I was more excited about the video. I knew the video wasn't going to do extremely well, but I always like being able to look at the camera and kind of, impart my personal experience on it. So I get excited about that. And, I always love product development videos, although they never do well. But the older I get in YouTube, the less I care about these videos. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, and you hear these guys constantly trying to hack the algorithm and, what's going to be the best thing, the best that. Some videos are going to do well. Most of them aren't. And that's just the reality of it. I'm not going to hit it like Hacksmith or, Mark Roper. It's just not my style. I'm making waves in other parts of my career.
Yes, you are. I've seen this twice from Sean now, so I'm going to ask it for you. So Sean.
Sean Beckner. What's up, buddy?
In making videos, I know the iris is one of your favorite transitions. Can you talk about some other editing tips or tricks that are your favorites?
Well, I like the page peel. To me, I try to create a communication through my editing. I don't know how well it works or not, but I know it works for me personally. Like I communicate like, okay, later in the story. And that's why I always use the page peel, because it's like later down in the story. It's almost like you're getting deeper into the book as the story progresses. Mm-hmm. So that's why I like to use the page peel. I always like the opening and the iris opening. I became attracted to the iris opening in the movie Nosferatu. When the movie opens up, they always have the iris opening and closing in the movie. And I very first saw that movie in Halloween when I was sitting at the Police Boys Club when I was probably about 8 years old. We all had to sit in a big auditorium on the floor, and they ran a 16 millimeter projector of Nosferatu on the screen for Halloween. And I was just like, what is this bizarre sicko movie that they're showing us about this scariest character I've ever seen in my life? And it looked like it was a real person they caught on film because it was so old. But that's where I saw the iris for the first time. And when I found the iris in the transition, I was so excited because I'm like, that's it. Everything from now on is going to have the iris opening and closing like it's a 1920s Metropolis movie. Yeah.
Cool. So that is the reason for it right there. That's a hot take. Take.
And then occasionally I use the crossfade a lot too, again, to kind of be like, okay, a crossfade is typically used when we're still in the same part of the story, but it's just later in time. So I have rationales for these transitions. Again, I'm trying to communicate to somebody without saying anything, and I don't know if they know it or not, but a page peel means it's a completely different segment. It's like a new tool. It's a new activity. That's usually a page peel, but transitions, a crossfade is usually in the same chapter, for instance.
Okay, cool, man.
Yeah. Who's paying attention? I don't know.
This one, I just echo this sentiment. Maker 238. He says this. here. He says, as some of you will share the same story, I'm sure, but Jimmy is the reason I started making YouTube videos. I love that man and everything he has done
I'm
for
blushing.
the making. Yeah, you know what, dude?
Thank you.
Maker 238. I just echo that. Anybody you talk to, it's either, oh yeah, I just got off the phone with Jimmy. Oh yeah, Jimmy told me about this. Jimmy, it's like, you know, in my line of work, I work with a company called the Makers Mob, and I work with quite a few makers. And this guy right here is exactly that. It's crazy. You're talking to Annabelle Trades the other day. I called her up, had a great conversation, and
Oh, good. I'm
you know,
glad you got me connected.
yeah, it's great. It just seems like, you know, you've inspired so many people to really start to jump into this content creating niche. What inspired you to do it?
You know, I say this all the time. I got involved just to kind of because I was upset with the TV business. I had done so many TV shows before I ever did
Right.
YouTube, and I just so disillusioned with television and the way people still categorize, you know, activities on TV. I know in my heart of hearts, people just want to see things getting made. You know, the story is so secondary, in my opinion, than to.
Oh, we have a pause in. Let's see if he comes back to us. Hopefully in short order here. I'll tell you this. I do know that the internet at old Directa camp there is patchy at best. Let me just see if I can't just remove and add to stream because you don't want to look at my face, I'm sure. Let's try one more time. And I will share this. I know what he was going to touch on is that, you know, I've talked to him a few times about it, and, you know, he did have HGTV back in the day, and it was just the production schedule was crazy. And, you know, for him, it was about being able to create his own content. And you know, Joe Lesko, if Jimmy jumps back on here, which he should do in short order, I'm sure. Oh, there we go. Let's see.
Did
He's
I
back.
disappear or did you disappear? Is it my
You disappeared.
Oh my goodness. I don't know what's going on
Yeah.
here.
No, I think it's just your internet.
My
I
internet
think
never has problems. It's horrible that it happens right here and now. I'm so sorry.
that's okay, man.
Um,
I was just sharing about, you know, I think you've told me that before. It's just the production schedule and then, you know, the editing side of it. In terms
when
of
am I going to do more vlogs? Yeah. Vlogs just take so much time. And like when I find that, for instance, if I end up having to go to LA for another making it season, that's when I have like nothing to do at all. Like literally, especially now with COVID, the last time we had to stay in our hotel rooms for so long. That's when I'll go through some of this. I still shoot vlog footage as if I'm going to do something with it, but it just sits on my computer. So I have it, and I really appreciate it. But you know, again, like I said, I try not to worry too much about the algorithm. But when I put vlogs out, I get like 30,000 views, and it's just so it's like the most amount of work goes into making the vlogs. It's like literally the longest edits that I do is making the vlogs because they just got longer. When I look back, like some of my first vlogs are like 6 minutes long, and then they all got to be 30, 35, 40 minutes long. And, you know, I really do like a nice big piece of meat. So yeah, one of these days I'll get back into it, you know, when we get off this every week schedule.
Good question here from Robert. Do you ever get bored midway through projects? What do you do to remotivate yourself to finish it off?
Oh, I have a little bit of obsessive compulsive disorder in the way that anything I start, I have to finish. So I'm never worried about abandoning a project. If I do abandon a project, it's quite literally just because of time. And I keep getting pulled away from it. And, you know, its importance or its priority isn't severe. So I will just push it off and then slowly pick it back up. You know, maybe it could even be a year later. My front porch has to get done because it's part of my house that I don't want to sit unfinished. I started it July 3rd. I worked on it this afternoon. I got about 4 more feet to close the decking. That's literally it's about 100 feet of tongue and groove boards installed one at a time. And I have about 4 or 5 more feet to go.
Okay, so we have a question from, and just maybe share what you can and don't share what you can't, obviously. But we have a question. Did you get a date on a secret project release you are working on?
Oh yeah, we got a television show coming to a streaming network near you, you know, popular streaming network. We don't have a release date yet. They keep saying like February, March, April, February. March. I don't know. I don't know exactly. Of course, as soon as we're allowed to let the cat out of the bag, I've said a lot of it on, after shows and stuff on the podcast, but in general, it looks like sometime in the spring. We've seen episodes. It's a very, very silly, funny show about making, and it's geared towards children. So,
Cool.
I've heard my friend Jeff Fader talk about Metal Masters on Netflix, and the show is a little hokey. It's a little weird. It's a little, everybody wants to critique it because it's not, the most perfect show. But that and shows like Forged in Fire
Yeah.
and our upcoming show, I think are great because it gets young guys interested in making, young guys and girls interested in making. And that's hopefully what this show will do. It's geared towards children, and it's funny and it's
Cool.
silly, and there's lots of interesting making going on.
And maybe speak into there's the toolbox right there. And that's
Oh,
been
yeah.
a journey that we've actually
Yeah.
been going down the last little bit.
Yeah.
And the catalytic, maybe, do you want me to share the story? Do you want to share the story about kind of
Go
where we're
ahead.
at with that?
Go ahead.
right.
Jump in.
Anyways, the idea came for Jimmy to make a toolbox. I was like, hey man, I'll put it on the web. You can go to imake.ny.com and check it out. They're there now. This is a special one with a
Bottom drawer.
Bottom drawer pullout. You can see the rest of knife and razor blade in there now. And I was like, hey, fire it over to me. So he shipped them up to me, and then I if you go back, you'll see this. These are all thumbnails that I'm showing here as well. But this was the video that we released. I think it was on a Saturday. My son and I put it together, and we just did a quick little promo around it. And then Jimmy's business partner, Howard, great guy. He lives pretty close to you, doesn't he? Just an hour or two away?
He lives in Westchester. I'm in upstate, so we live about 2 hours apart.
Yeah. Anyway, just awesome guy. Awesome guy. He called me up and said, hey man, we just got an email from Walmart. We want to put this on the shelves of Walmart.
Yeah.
And so
amazing, right?
So that, yeah, it was crazy. But I mean, that's kind of how stuff works. I mean, you put it out there, and if you're doing good,
you don't know who's watching, but that's what's important. You got to put it out there. A lot of people sit on stuff. I unfortunately have known guys that sit on projects for years because they're afraid to show things. They're afraid that someone's going to steal my idea. My concept is just carpet bomb it. Just carpet bomb. And one of those bombs will set off, a chain of events that are going to work out for you.
Yeah. And it's been, working with Jimmy, and I've helped a bit with production and stuff like that. It's been an absolute freaking learning curve and blast the entire way through. But it brings it back to kind of what you're talking about, that the show you've been working on is, how do you inspire the next generation? The idea that a toolbox is a catalytic purchase, for a youngster, and I know Jimmy's heart behind it. If you've heard it, when he got his grandfather's toolbox, and it's like, I remember being a kid and you get a toolbox. What's the next thing you do? Well, you go put tools in it. What's the next thing you do? Then you go and you take those tools and you hammer on a door or some kind of hinge, and you try
and fix something.
You try to fix something, heaven forbid,
make something.
Or make something. Heaven forbid there's a saw in there, and then you can do some real damage.
Right.
But that's really kind of, it's kind of interesting that the streaming show, as well as this product that you'll see on the shelves of Walmart, hopefully in the coming months, really
will be. It's going to be. It's supposed to be out sometime, early in the year. I don't know, January, February, March. I don't know exactly, but supposed to be out there sometime, and they're going to try it out in 400 stores. If it does well, it's going to go store wide. And we'll see. Yeah. There's going to be one they're going to be at the Catskill store near me. So
it's
going to be fun. Yeah, it's going to be fun when I go in. And Howard said, he goes, when you do your stories, go in and we'll know when.
Oh, lost you again. Are you back there? You good?
Yeah, I hope I'm here for good. Yeah.
We'll
go back in there. It'll be fun to go back in there and play around the Walmart and see our product on the shelf. It'll be really fun.
Dude, I'm gonna have to fly out for that one. If I'm able to travel, that's kind of like a bucket list thing, kind of helping in this project. I'd love to come out there and check that out for sure. But it is about inspiring, the next generation, and you've done obviously a fantastic job of that. And it's being true, to who you are, and kind of, this was one question that we had, so I'll ask it. We had it from a a viewer, and then somebody's asking it now. Dave asked, any plans for epic builds in 2022?
Yeah, well, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to restore and build a flatbed for this 12-foot long flatbed truck I bought in September. So I can't wait for the trailer to get out of there because I'm going to pull this flatbed in and start working on the cab and pull the old bed off, which is all rusted, and make a whole new flatbed bed. That's going to be a big build. It has to be out by March, but that's going to be an epic build. Got the barn, some stuff in and around the new barn frame that we're going to be working on. And, we have a lot of plans for products going in, because now that we're all product oriented with the Walmart, impending Walmart situation, we have a lot of upcoming stuff, a lot of prototyping in the future because we got a lot of product ideas.
Cool. Very cool.
And just like anything else, things bubble to the surface, out of nowhere in April, March, 25th, I got a call from my buddy Chuck, who's like, hey, can you build a trailer for us? And I was like, yeah, no problem. By April 3rd, I bought a trailer and I started working on that trailer. It's going to come to a close now. So these things come up spontaneously because I'm an idiot and I say yes to everything. So we just don't know what to expect.
You do say yes to a lot of things. I definitely echo that. I don't know if it's so much. I think it's more the carpet bomb than the idiot thing. But it's like, hey man, can you do this? Yeah, no problem, no problem. I'm like, how do you have time to do that? We have a question, just in terms of filming. How many cameras do you use in a video to get different angles? Is it one and you move it, or more?
Typically, yeah. Most often, and it's funny from an editing point of view. I don't know how other people edit, but I know how I edit. And if I use two cameras, I try to use two of the same camera because for instance, I'll use two GoPros. You could try and sequence the time, but it's never really, I prefer to use one camera as much as possible and just move it around. Like if I'm doing a task that might take just a couple of tries, I'll do it 3 different angles and then I'll edit them together. It might look like one version of that same action. Or I'll just move the camera in the middle of the edit. And sometimes I leave me moving the thing in fast forward. You could slow it down and see me just pick up the tripod and reposition it. Sometimes I cut out that move. So it just goes from one cut to another cut. But the reason I try and keep it in the same piece of footage is so that I know where they are. There's been so many times where I've edited and I locked an edit and then I'm scrolling through the footage and I'm like, there's the other angle that was on that other camera. But because it was so out of whack as far as the time sequence goes, I'll download all the footage from one camera. It'll be right here. And all the footage from another camera will be right here because the time stamp on the film is different. And, it just helps when everything is in sequence in your storage bin. So you can pull them in order on your timeline. I forget. That's why I forget what I shot.
And then you every day after filming, you download. You get it off.
Every day I download.
Yeah.
At the end of every day. It's almost it's such an obsession that I can't if I have to go to dinner, for instance, or if I have a dinner date or something, as soon as I come home, I have my camera and I put it on top of my laptop, which is mostly where I edit. So when I come home, the first thing I do is put that footage back into its
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What else do you do? It's like, do you do I'm not saying you don't do enough, but do you go fishing? Do you, I don't know, watch sports? I know you're not a sports guy, but is it dinner making? That kind of seems to be the
together, me and Taylor, we go for drives. We'll go for late night drives. We'll go for a drive at 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning. We just go driving around, and we're constantly. I don't own a lot of property, but we have desire to own a lot of property, so we do a lot of chit chatting about potential investment in houses in and around this area. We kind of missed the boat on that because everything now is so expensive because of COVID.
It's
but
crazy. Yeah.
There are certain properties because again, I always like to think I'm not the average person. So when I see a property, I have a different frame of mind of what we have a different frame of mind of what we envision. Taylor just recently, we got this 3D printer last year, and so over Christmas, Taylor and I brought the 3D printer back to life because it was in storage. Really, in all honesty, Aaron was using it, And,
Okay.
since we lost Aaron, nobody's 3D printed because Aaron was the 3D printer guru. So I said to Taylor, I'm like, we have to really confront learning how to 3D print. So over Christmas, we got our Elegoo printer and we got it fired up, and Taylor's been printing her furniture projects in small scale on it. So, that's something that, won't make a video. That won't be, that's just us, learning and exploring, the future designs and builds and stuff. It's always aspiring. And Taylor's constantly developing her product line and, what she's going to do. And so I help her with that.
Cool.
So it's just a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But no sports. Occasionally we do foodie dinners. We never go to the mall. Neither one of us really like being out in public, only because it's annoying. We used to have the occasional trip to the Mac store, which, we'd go and we spend $10,000 on Mac equipment, but haven't done that in a while.
Do you get recognized?
Not really. Once in a long while, somebody will recognize me, and my fans are great. They're just so chill and relaxing and easy to talk to, and occasionally, it was funny. I just talked about being at the Mac store. The last time we went to the Mac store and I bought a bunch of stuff, the kid recognized me, and
Cool.
he knew me like technically. He's like, "You're the guy from YouTube. I know who you are." He wasn't a maker, but he was just more of like an observant social media guy. He's like, I know exactly who you are. And it was very funny because it was funny to have that like analytical. He's like, you're doing really good at what you do. He was a young kid. He was probably 20 years old, but it was nice to hear from him, like, just like an outsider's point of view of somebody, he wasn't in love with me and he wasn't obsessed with me, but he just knew who I was, like the way I'm aware of a lot of YouTubers that if I saw them, I'd be like, good work.
Yeah, I think one of the lives, I used to be an educator, and one of the lives I was doing with you a while back, one of my former students was just on YouTube, and you popped up, and my phone just like, Mr. Price, that's my last name. He just called me, you're on YouTube live with Jimmy DeResta. I'm like, yeah, I know. This is it's one of those weird things. It's like, you look at your channel analytics, and we're talking like hundreds, millions of, it's just crazy the reach, like just that you're able to go beyond the maker space, and people who probably aren't makers or even just are able to engage on that level. It's
just an amazing world. And then like my friends and family think that I'm like the multi-man, but then you get someone like Colin Furze who's on trending every week, and he's hilarious and he's crazy and he's inspiring. And you got guys like Mark Roper that, gets millions of views in the first couple of minutes of, the first hour, he'll get millions of views. Yeah. Like I said, I don't think I'll ever be at that level, but like, I think I feel a different space. And, it's nice to know that I'm inspiring young people to get out there and make just like those guys are doing.
Yeah, totally, man. Let's shift gears a little bit here, because I know this is something that you invested a lot of time in. KS asks this. He says, what would be the best way to break into the toy design game? I have a great idea and I don't know what to do with it. That's
interesting. I think the very most important thing is go and make sure that you're not stepping on any intellectual property toes by making sure you research that product really well. Go out there and see if it's in any other genre. Make the best prototype you can make. Keep making the prototype over and over until you keep making it as good as it possibly can be. Go out and find a company that you could imagine selling your product. So like if it's like a game like Twister, Parker Brothers would sell it. If it's a product like, I'm not really familiar with all the toy companies that are still available. Like I used to know CAP Toys was a very innovative company, and they took all kinds of crazy things like the Spin Pop, which is like the flashlight with the light bulb that with the lollipop that spins sticking out of it. That was by CAP Toys. And, they were a very innovative company that had interesting novelty products that, impulse items. So is it an impulse item? Is it a big game like like Sketch, like you'd have the Velcro ball. Is it, I don't know what category it's in. Go look in that category, make sure that you're, interesting and unique, and find companies that make products like that. And see if you can't go knock on their door, hit them up on Instagram. It must be a much different game than when I was there. You'd have to formally set up a meeting and go and have a meeting and do the pitch, and, just like selling a TV show. Nowadays, I wouldn't be surprised if you just sent over a private YouTube video of you demonstrating the product. You might be able to get some traction.
Because you still have patents out there for toys, do you not?
I have about 25 patents. None of them are making really any money right now. They're all expired. Honestly, I haven't patented anything in a long while. I have a lot of patentable products that I just put on YouTube now, like my scissor lift barbecue. I've had some interest in people wanting to make that. Nothing really has come to fruition, but I just put products out there now. I just put them on my YouTube channel. And now with a little bit of the traction we're having with Walmart, maybe potentially we can get some of them made, with some
Cool.
investors or some behind the scenes people. But in general, I don't chase inventions anymore. If I could make something interesting and we could sell it through the website, that's more rewarding than me trying to place a product.
Yeah.
But now, like I said, we did that on our own website, and then Walmart now picked up that one product and we turned it into a category of 4 items. And we jumped a huge line by them knocking on our door because we made stuff that was fun and interesting that they saw and said, wow, that's a nice fit. Let's, we got lucky. They cherry picked out of our tree, which is great,
Yeah.
And the only way to expose yourself for that is just to keep putting stuff out there and not, don't be overly protective. Sometimes you have an invention that really is a genuine invention that you don't want to give away. But that's why it's important to do your legwork, get your prototypes in order, and develop some marketing, some logos, some branding, and do your research. There are people out there that you could show your product to.
Yep. We have about, let's see what time we're running here. We have about maybe 5 more minutes. We have a question from Chris. And what was your favorite project or video of 2021? Thinking back from last year.
Wow, it's funny. I don't even know what I put. This year has been a blur. I like the outhouse because that's a product that I've been wanting to do since the beginning of my YouTube channel, is to build an outhouse for my woods. And you showed a picture of the outhouse. Obviously, the trailer was a huge accomplishment for me, building that external, the exterior of the trailer. This was a good one.
Yeah. So here's a quick rundown.
I love that. Was that was the beginning of last year. That was the end of last year. That was a good one.
Here is last year in 10 seconds. Okay.
It's because you got it all in order. That was a fun one.
Boom.
Slingshot. The truck was my favorite because that was such a pain in the ass. That was a good one.
Answered the
but
question.
Keep going. Let's see what else you got quick.
So this is all tracking for
that was a good one. That was a really good one.
That was pretty badass.
That's sitting right here next to my desk, my boots.
Is it?
My Nick boots, yeah.
Do you use that?
That was fun.
Do you use that knife?
No, I know I don't wear those boots too much because I just don't like lacing things up. I'm lazy. I like slip-on boots. Carolina makes me a pair, but I don't wear them too much. I want to keep them preserved for when they end up at the Smithsonian. I don't want them to be too worn out.
Yeah.
Razor blade. That toolbox was a great project that could lead to the next phase of our lives. So that's a great one. That was a nightmare, but I love that one. That was a fun product. That was a good one. This table was great. I use this table all the time. And that's a good example of these legs I bought at a flea market almost 9 years ago. I had one vise, somebody else gave me another vise, and what can I do with these? How can I put these together? And boom, I made this table for the TV set, and I use this table every day. And I have those 2 vices that sat underneath a bench for so long. Now they're available and accessible. I love it.
This is still. Hey, this video did really well. Do you use this? That was a good one. Do you use this?
No, it was a joke.
Okay. All right, well, there you go. Wooden
anvil. That was a good one. Oh, these were good. Everyone liked the knobs. I still want to try and make more of those.
Yeah, there's your outhouse.
There's my outhouse.
Yeah. And that was the soap holder, right?
The soap dish, yeah.
That
was a fun one.
Yeah, the new hammer, the restoration. What hammers were those again, off the top of your head?
Oh, they're S-Wing hammers made in Chicago. Well, made in Illinois. There's the trailer.
And then we got the crowbar knife. My buddy, who's also working on the manufacturing with me, he's got a crowbar knife. He's keen to show you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then that was your display resin table.
Resin table was a good one. The new barn is great. I wish I could say I built it. I just paid for it. That I love. That I'm surprised that video didn't do much better, but this is a great build. This is something I've been wanting. This has been on my to-do list for a couple of years now. And I'm really glad I got it done. That was a big build for me.
The bench.
That was fun.
Compilation.
The door has been on my list since I met the guys at Lincoln. It was going to be one of the first or second projects I've ever done for Lincoln, but I only finally just did it now. I've been with Lincoln for 6 years, so it's been crazy.
How old is your house? Because I know
the house was built in 1790. The house was built, the main square, which is like the house that's built over the basement. There's a couple of additions, but that basement that I've been in is,
Now we're
you know,
getting close. We're getting close to the end of the year. We got the catapult that came
catapult.
up. If you haven't watched the end of this video, where you start flinging stuff to feed the turkeys and the cats, go watch that. That's
That
funny.
was a fun one.
And then this one was just released with the denim
Yesterday.
build. So
Yeah.
it sounds like your favorite would be the truck video and or the trailer.
The truck and the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Those are good.
We got two questions here. Where do you see yourself headed in 2022 on your channel? You know, what's kind of getting you excited these days?
You know, the prospect of seeing product in Walmart, you know, it's
Yeah.
crazy. The culmination, you know, again, you know, it's all a matter of see if it sells, if things get through and actually start selling. But it's going to be bizarre. You know, it's funny because we're all like rogue makers on YouTube outside the system, but then, you know, you get picked up by the system and, you know, hopefully can make some money. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, I think too, though, it's a compelling story. Like the idea, I mean, there's a heart behind it, right? It's not just like here's a product. It's like, hey, let's go next generation. Let's go. Here's the torch.
Yeah.
Hit it. You know, like to me, you know, that's what I've really gravitated towards on this. And the
Yeah.
narrative behind that is
It's funny because
exciting,
there
you
are
know?
maker kits out there. You know, we're not doing anything that's
Yeah,
extraordinarily
yeah,
new, but obviously with the social media presence, that always helps selling any product to anybody.
yeah.
But also, you know, Howard said that anybody he spoke to at Walmart about it just always responded like they really have like a good gut feeling because it's wood, it's warm, it's the packaging is warm and welcoming, and it's just simple. You get it.
I would say that this comment right here by Michael Carley kind of sums it up. If you haven't yet,
Thank you, Michael.
Jimmy, you know, as we end this in the next 30 seconds here, go back and look at. I know you haven't been able to watch the comments, man, but if you want to get blessed, just read them because. And I tell you, I'm not gonna embarrass you or anything like that, but just the inspiration you brought to the internet and makers out there, and I'll just
Thank you.
attest. The guy's 100% who you think he is. It's phenomenal working with you.
Thank you. Don't make me cry.
Yeah, yeah, right. I think we're going to wrap it up. Is there anything else what would you like to tell your audience going into 2022?
I said it in the beginning of the denim car seat video. Is just I can't thank you enough for supporting me. You know, supporting all the efforts that me and the team have put forth with the website. And you know, it was funny when Adam, when we first met, you were like, you so tactfully told me my website looked like shit. I was like, yeah, I know. You're like, you could use some help there, And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. And that's how our relationship started. So thank you
Yeah.
for, bringing the website into the new century with some, with some real results. So thank you guys for that. And, it's been amazing. It's just been an amazing 10 years. And, hopefully we can go for another 10 years. I get a little nervous when every time I look around, I'm the oldest YouTube guy in the room. So I feel a little bit of pressure that I might be aging out. So that's why it's nice to be able to get into other things like selling products into retail outlets and, doing some other television stuff if that can keep going.
Cool.
But it's been an amazing journey. And, like I said,
Yeah.
we're just in the middle of it. So thank you everybody for supporting me and, allowing me on this journey.
Well, let's leave it at that. And we just want to thank you, Jimmy. Thank you for tuning in. I think we're going to wrap it up here. There's a video coming out probably right around New Year's Day-ish.
Yeah, I might have the interior of the trailer done, part 2, by then.
Okay. Awesome, man. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you so much. If you don't mind just giving that a like. And if you haven't yet, hopefully you already are subscribed to Jimmy's channel. Go ahead and do that because there's good content coming down on a regular basis every Saturday, more or less.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all very much.
Okay. Thank you so much. And
thank you to all the regulars. I saw all you guys. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
My regulars.
Cool. All right. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.